Hi, my name is Sean Flynn. I play in American Buffalo Ghost, and I'm going to be premiering a new song tonight called The Rusty Colored Rain. Take upon my loneliness, send me on my way, and I see you standing there in the rusty colored rain. Can a woman still want love when she gives up the throne to come lonely in darkness and dream in the great unknown? Take upon my happiness, put my feet on the ground. Your voice has a song to sing, but it makes no sound. Can a woman still feel pain when she gives up a crown of thorns to hear the wind blow, but not for what it wants? Ooh, child, come with me, take what you want and go and be free. Wave your hand on the diamond sky and lay your burden down. Take upon my loneliness, send me on my way, and I see you standing there in the rusty colored rain.
Welcome to the NEPA Scene Podcast. We're coming to you live from Cole Creative in downtown Wilkes-Barre. I'm Rich Howells. I'm the founder and editor of NEPA Scene. And tonight we're doing something a little bit different. One of our guests here, Sam O'Connell, is also going to be my guest host as well.
Absolutely.
So he's going to be, well, I'll be shooting them both some questions, but he's also going to kind of be interrogating our guests here tonight. So both of these guys are singer-songwriters. This is Sean Flynn of American Buffalo Ghost and Old Charades. And Sam O'Connell plays in a band called Noxen. And they're both going to be performing with Rosary Guild at Karl Hall in Wilkes-Barre on Saturday, March 23rd. So Sean is playing some acoustic songs for us, and we're going to talk about Americana and folk music and that particular scene in northeastern Pennsylvania, storytelling and songwriting, recording with friends and family members as solo projects that have become full bands, being fans and supporters of local music as well as creators, and much, much more. So please tune in for the full hour. We would love to hear your questions. Unfortunately, Facebook is not cooperating with us tonight. Apparently, it's not cooperating with millions of other people. So we're recording this on our usual Wednesday night, and we can't live stream it. So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to respond to your questions and comments tonight directly on the show, but we will afterwards. I'll go back in and respond to you guys if you have any particular questions or comments that you want to talk about or throw into our conversation. So we still welcome your thoughts in the comments down below, so please leave those. If you agree, disagree with anything that we're saying tonight, anything that you want to ask us, anything you want to ask about their music, that kind of thing, I'll make sure those guys go back in later and respond to that kind of stuff. So thank you all for tuning in. Anyway, I'm assuming we'll probably live stream this maybe sometime tomorrow if Facebook's fixed by then or whatever. But at some point we will live stream it. Of course, it'll be on our YouTube channel as well. So thanks for tuning in to episode 99. Next week is going to be 100.
Couldn't quite make that extra jump.
So close.
Story of
Damn
your
it!
life.
Damn it! Not only did we get the shaft on the live stream, but we come up short.
One episode.
I know.
Oh man.
I know. Everybody has been trying to get to that, and it's funny because I didn't necessarily I wanted to do, maybe we could do like some kind of big, 100 episode and do something weird and crazy or whatever. But planning-wise, I want to get a particular guest on who's coming in from Philly, and he can kind of only do it next week. So it's just going to work out that he's going to be the 100th episode. So he's a lucky guy.
Only come in.
Yeah,
Sean
yeah.
and I are desperate to be on it.
Well, whatever. The car's running.
All right, so but before we get to the interview, we have some beers to crack open. Maybe that'll ease the pain a little bit.
I certainly hope so.
Beer Boys gives us these crawlers every week from their 72 beers on tap. This week they have SBC Triple Bock, Guinness, because it's St. Patrick's Day proper this coming weekend. I'll talk about that in a second. And good old Yingling Lager, which we had just posted an article yesterday about that. The Brewers Association does a thing every year where they kind of count up what everybody has been selling all year and come out with who are the top craft brewers and who are the top just general brewers in general. Yingling is still number one, and they're still considered craft by the Brewers Association definition. Like a lot of people, I know that every time we post about it, because it usually is every year they put this thing out, and every year we'll post about it, and every year we get the same comments of, Yingling, that's not really craft beer, and, blah, 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 blah. But by the Brewers Association definition, which I think is under like 6 million barrels or whatever it is, however they determine how much beer that you produce, you're still craft beer if you're under a certain amount, which they happen to be. So it's interesting that they actually are number one over Samuel Adams, because you would think Sam Adams, being as big as it is, would have more.
The funny thing about Yingling, and I'm sure a lot of people could say this though, but I just came back from Florida, and down there in bars, Yingling is massive.
Yeah.
It's massive. But the kicker is that it's so big, and people are paying $7 for it.
Right.
And I'm like, it's made 90 minutes down the road, and it's like $1 on a bad day. And they're like, oh man, this is the greatest beer ever. And I'm just, sure thing, boss. You're going to pay that much for it? Go ahead.
Did you have any?
No, I can get it here for like $1.
A little homesick and
No, that's like me going down there and getting Lion's Head. Like, why would I do that?
It's funny. Me and my wife go to Rehoboth every year, and there's 1 million grotto pizzas down there. It's like a huge thing because I guess one of the guys who founded it was from there originally or had family there or whatever. So they made it a huge franchise where there's literally like one on every block. There would be a Starbucks or McDonald's.
Oh,
so it's so funny. Like we go down there and there's all these great restaurants. Dogfish Head has their own restaurant down there. We're like, hey, let's get grotto pizza. Like, no way am I getting grotto. I can get that down the road. Why would I get that here? It's the same type of thing, but yeah, Yingling I think it's expanded into like 22 states now, so it's like getting bigger across the country. But here we kind of take it for granted. It's like water around here.
Yeah.
I don't take it for granted. It's my favorite. It's my favorite beer.
Oh, okay.
I would pay the $7 for it in Florida.
Oh.
Well, luckily you get it for free.
Yeah, we get it free tonight. So which one are we starting with? Are we starting with the lager, or are we starting with something else?
I think we should start proper with the Guinness because the St. Patrick's Day.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that works.
Mr.
Let's
Flynn.
do that. I hope I got the right one there.
Some syrup.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll move that. Here, I'll pass that down. There you go.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you
These are
kindly.
like the sippy glasses.
Mm.
Man, I haven't had a Guinness in a year. Yeah,
Probably since last
like
St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
Right. Cheers.
Cheers. Just had my first Guinness at the St. Patrick's
Cheers.
Day parade. Sip of. I don't know if it counts. All right.
All right. Well, the reason they gave us Guinness is because tonight is their glass night. 375 Guinness pints and a free Guinness glass. And if you didn't get enough St. Patrick's Day, the last 2 weekends between the Pittston Parade, the Scranton Parade, the Wilkes-Barre Parade, we have St. Patrick's Day proper coming up this weekend at Beer Boys. So Friday night, Frank Marzinkowski, who you've probably seen in our NEPA Scene open mics, he's going to be playing at 10 on Friday. Saturday, they're going to open at 4 p.m. There's a pipe and drum band playing at 5:45. Then DJ Kenton is spinning from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Sunday, they open at noon with the Malloy Boys, and they're playing at 2 p.m. Every day this weekend, there's 375 Guinness pints, $5 Irish car bombs, $5 pitchers, Bud Light, Coors Light, Miller Light, and all those others. And that's all night long, and there's never a cover. So make sure that if you have the stomach and the liver for it, and you want to celebrate again this weekend, or you didn't the past weekends, and want to avoid the crazy ass crowds, you can stop down at Beer Boys. They will take care of you.
It's an adult beverage right there.
Hair on the
I like
finally.
the darker, heavier beers personally.
I drink a lot of Omegang beer.
Okay.
They do the Game of Thrones beers.
Yes.
And they had one. Well, they have one out now called the King of the North, and it's like if you take a Guinness and then just dropped a piece of like dark chocolate in it. That's kind of what it tastes like.
Okay.
And if that's really rich, really strong, really good flavor. The problem is though, it's like a 12.5% beer.
Yeah.
So it's like drink at your own peril, should I say? But
Yeah.
I like it.
They usually come in like the bigger bottles.
Yeah,
right,
they're like
too?
bombers. Yeah,
So you really gotta you gotta drink it all in one sip.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, unless you got like a growler on standby that you could like pour it in and throw it in the fridge.
Yeah.
But yeah, you gotta drink it, or you're paying a little bit more than you would for like a Yingling.
Right.
So you gotta you waste your money or tell somebody you're gonna be late.
We also want to plug the V-Spot, one of the most popular bars in northeastern Pennsylvania, with live entertainment every night of the week. This week, they have Chris Sawatsky on Thursday. Pink Slip is playing high-energy rock anthems on Friday. Young Lion, which features members of George Wesley's old band, is bringing roots reggae rock on Saturday. And DJ Huff is hosting karaoke on Sunday. And it just hit me the other day that our open mic is already coming back. It seems like it just left, and it's already coming back. And the NEPA Scene Rising Talent open mic is coming back on Tuesday, April 2nd. We're going to be there for 12 weeks straight. The 13th week, we're going to do the finals. We're switching back to the format that we had previously. We tried a different format last time and kind of got an okay response, but it's one of those things where whenever you run an event, or I'm sure when you guys are playing a band, people will have suggestions for you. They are people who have never run an event. They are people who don't play music. They know nothing about these things. But they have suggestions for you. They tell you, you should do this, you should try that, you should change this, you should fix that. I'm like, well, I don't know if any of those things are broken, but okay, I'll do those things. So I always try to adapt a little bit and try to switch things up. So I'm like, all right, this season I'm going to try to take the pressure off people. We're not going to do voting every week and stuff like that, but we're going to give out more prizes and stuff. And it really kind of barely balanced out. It really wasn't it didn't excite people, I think, as much. Granted, it's also the winter time, so it's also hard to get people to come out, especially when it's snowing every other day. So that always has an effect too. The spring one is always going to be bigger usually than the fall one. It's just how it works out. But So we're going to be going back to the format of the voting every week, $50 cash every week. We're going to have grand prize of a video shoot instead of doing a recording studio time like we usually do. We're going to have a video shoot. So you win if you're a musician, you get a free video. If you're a comedian, you get a free video, which that works out for both people because we've had comedians win recording time, and it's like recording time in a booth. That's not really going to help you as a comedian, So I wanted to do something that would benefit whoever wins, because we've had both musicians and comedians win at one point or another. So, all right, so let's get into it. Maybe by talking a little bit about how you guys got started in music. What was your initial interest? How long have you been doing it?
I'll age before.
Thanks. Well, I'll take a sip for that one here. Well, the absolute beginning of me ever playing music, and this is something that I still get made fun of. I don't care. I'm proud of it. It's what happened though. Okay. Was I fell absolutely in love with the White Stripes, and they were it. I heard the third White Stripes album, and that opening song, "Dead Leaves in the Dirty Ground," which has that famous feedback, and then that huge opening riff to the whole album. That was that moment. I was like, that's it. That's what I want to do. And so the White Stripes were really the catalyst or something like that. That was it. But my parents always had a lot of acoustic music in the house. My dad still plays acoustic guitar, and my parents are both children from the 60s. My mom saw the Beatles, so so that kind of thing going on. But there was a lot of Crosby, Stills and Nash, a lot of Neil Young, Simon and Garfunkel. It was a lot of acoustic music. But funny enough, they didn't really care for Bob Dylan. And I had to, through the White Stripes, because I would follow every single thing that they ever put out, and I would see that they would always do a B-side, and a lot of their B-sides were covers. And I would start to see, okay, what did they cover? And then they were covering a lot of old blues guys and some Bob Dylan songs. And I would just be like, I have to find out what that is. And then that rabbit hole opened up. So it would just... when I started listening to Bob Dylan, actually it was almost kind of a backwards thing. I saw that documentary, that Martin Scorsese documentary, the No Direction Home.
Okay.
And I was familiar with Bob Dylan at that point. I had the greatest hits, which I thought that was enough. And then I saw that documentary, and I can honestly say that truly did change my life about what folk music is and everything. I was kind of into the blues already. I already had Robert Johnson records, Blind Willie McTell, Big Bill Broonzy, Muddy Waters records. I had all that because of the White Stripes, and I was digging deeper into that. So old acoustic music wasn't strange to me by the time I saw that Bob Dylan documentary. But when I heard like Woody Guthrie, I was like, oh, okay, I need to take a moment here. And then the rabbit hole just kind of went on and on and on and on. And that's how that kind of happened for me. And then I just kind of fell in love with the deep old Americana folk music, the country blues. And then on the same token, on the other hand of that, the dirty C word of music, which would be country, but yeah. Old like Hank Williams and Johnny Cash and all
true
country music, and then falling in love with bluegrass music. So Tony Rice is a huge influence on me. I don't think there's very few people in the world who can play like Tony Rice, but I breathe what he does. It's so magical to me. It's just a man with 6 strings and a piece of wood, but it sounds like an orchestra. And I just kept digging and I just, it just so familiar to me, and there was just something about it that resonated a million times more than, say, what was ever on the radio at that moment, or like what is cool at the moment. And I know a lot of my friends can tell you the same exact kind of story, but they'll throw in bands like Big D and the Kids Table, Real Big Fish, like a lot of ska, Newfound Glory, Sum 41. That was all their thing.
Right.
And then they kind of all progressed into, those became like the Menzinger crowd or like the Title Fight crowd. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's great. And I love all those bands. I'm a huge Menzinger fan. It's no state secret that I love those guys. But all those guys who were getting the same emotional drive and hitting them so hard when they hear a song like, Good Things by the Menzingers, or like, 27 by Title Fight. Okay, I get the same kind of hit when I hear St. James Infirmary Blues, or I hear 900 Miles, Hard Traveling by Woody Guthrie. That hits me.
Right.
And I kind of veered from your question. I started rambling a little bit.
No.
Point is, that's how I got into it.
Well, that's so you're really more old school in that sense. That stuff is the stuff that in the same way that like I love old silent movies and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of older movies do it for me more than stuff that comes out today. And not to say that good movies don't come out now,
Mm-hmm.
or that I can't enjoy that kind of stuff. If you look at my movie collection, it kind of stops around like the 80s, maybe early 90s.
Yeah.
And then there's a few movies here and there, like the superhero stuff that comes out that I enjoy and that kind of thing. But mostly all my movies are all old stuff. And I think it's the same, you're saying it's the same thing with music for you.
Yeah.
'Cause there's kind of a certain era that really kind of spoke to you.
Yeah. It's just something about that, and I think it's just the mystery of it. I love that, like, that hoodooism and that weirdness and that whole like mythology, like say Robert Johnson going down the crossroads and selling his soul to the devil.
Yeah.
Okay, to me that's a hell of a story.
Right.
It's that's just so interesting to me. Or like listening to these country western guys singing, train songs and songs they learned like in lumber camps or whatever, and then or like Pete Seeger traveled this country with a 5-string banjo in a car with Woody Guthrie, and they just met people and got these songs, and it's just like that's it. That I don't need anymore. That's what I don't know. That's just it. And
So as a songwriter, would you say that you kind of write based off experiences, or do you write based off your influences and kind of using keywords from the genre? Because I think your music is storytelling, I'm a big fan, and the
thanks.
one song, "Oh, Rockets Take Days to Get to the Other Side," that's like such a good opening line. But is that something you experience, or is that something you just know about, and that's in the same kind of, that's in the world of the music that you're playing in?
that well, thank you. That's high praise coming from you. I think you're very, very talented. Everybody knows who you are now, what you do. So, I was turned into one of those kind of conversations. Well, no, to answer your question though, that song is the kind of a weird one, because that is a half yes and no to your question. Yeah, I've never been to the Rockies. I don't know, but I would just assume it would take days to get to the other
absolutely.
side.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where that came from, and I was just picturing like a small little story kind of just came into my head of just people crossing the Rockies back in 18 whatever, and it's like it's gonna take days to get there. But a lot of the lyrics in that song actually came from something of a true thing, where I was at a gas station and I got change, and it was on a dollar bill. Someone wrote a message on both sides of it from 20-some years ago, and it was like, "I'm here, but now I'm gone, and I left this to carry me on." That was just written on a dollar bill I found, and I was like, well, that's going in a song.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where that is. So that's, I don't know.
I think that there's a real skill to having be able to write something and create a visual experience, because like while I was listening to it, it is like a visual experience. I can close my eyes and almost like see the Rockies, and as you're singing, and obviously that cello comes in. And but
funny thing about that, because Dan King, who is like the musician of the area, where anybody who needs a cello, you call him. He's that guy. He's that guy. Christ, he's been on more records now than there are musicians in the area, because he's everybody. Just we need a cello for Dan King. But the funny thing is, when we were recording that song, he came in, and he's a classically trained musician. And so he's talking to me in like almost an alien language. He's like, "Oh, you want to, do you want me to go like suspend the fifth to go to the minor sixth change and all that?" I'm just like, "Dude, just make it sound good," like. And I had to just tell him the chord changes and stuff. And then we were in the control room up at the Windmill Agency, where I record everything with Eric Ritter. The three of us are in the control room listening back to it, and Dan just for some reason goes, "God, that one chord change where it goes, I'm here, but now I'm gone. That part, that chord change underneath, he's just like, God, man, that hits so hard." And I was like, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes like, "I'm picturing an old man who's looking at a chair that his wife sat in, and then she's gone, and now he's got to move on with his life because she's dead." And I was like, "Did you watch Up before you came here? What are you doing? Who says that?" And I was like, "It's just supposed to be a little folk ditty, and then you're writing Up too." Like
that's interesting, because I approach songwriting in a different way. As a filmmaker, I approach it as trying to tell a story, but also with these phases of a song, and you always try to have a climax, and you have different acts of a song rather than verse chorus. So it's like, and you kind of, and then you try to make people feel that they want to get hit hard, and you could flub that, and it could miss. But I think when you do have something that hits hard, that's what makes the songs that people remember.
I tried to do that, maybe subconsciously. I tried to do that on some of the songs, but there was a song on the album called September where I had a very specific thing I wanted to say, and that was. That's the lyrics came from just listening to a piece of music. It's not even a full song. It's just a piece of music. That it's a bluegrass song that I absolutely love. It's called "The Great Remember for Nancy," which is by Steve Martin and the Steam Canyon Rangers. His band. Very great. Yeah, great, huge. Yeah, they're very, very talented. But that one song, just that again, that feeling you can only get from listening to a piece of music that touches you. And when I closed my eyes, listening to that song, I saw a girl standing there, blonde hair, smiling in the autumn sunset. I don't know who she is. I don't know where she is, but that's what I wrote about, and that's what that is.
Interesting. Now, yeah. I mean, my path is a little different. It's interesting when you say like, I listened to the White Stripes and that chord hits, and that's when I decided I wanted to become a musician. Is really cool, and I'm sure if you speak to there's probably that album or that song for anybody. But the interesting thing for me is I grew up I have 5 brothers and 3 sisters, and we grew up in a pretty sheltered home where we weren't really allowed to listen to that much music. So I think I was in college, and I was riding with my roommate, and Band on the Run came on by Paul McCartney, and I hadn't heard the Beatles. One time I was at my cousin's house, and they were watching one of the movies, and I got in trouble for being in the room. So I had never listened to the Beatles prior to in college. I may have heard a song in passing, but I wouldn't be like, "Oh, that's the Beatles." So I heard this Paul McCartney song, and I was like, "What is this? Like, this is the best thing I've ever heard." And he's like, "That's Paul McCartney, you idiot. He's from the Beatles." And it like started this renaissance for me as a songwriter. And I'd always played with like I said, I have so many brothers and sisters, and my grandmother was a music teacher at Dallas School District, so we had music lessons every week, and we always played together. And my older brother Jonathan's a great songwriter, great folk songwriter, and we had a folk band before I got into Noxen. But listening to Paul McCartney, and I did a real deep dive through the Beatles and their discography, and then I ended up siding on the Paul side of the line, I think, and really started diving into his solo work, specifically Ram.
That's a great record. Yeah,
and that inspired me as a songwriter, like so much melodically and
lyrically. I was gonna ask then, like, did you fall more in love with the solo Paul McCartney or Beatle Paul McCartney, and then what would be the Beatle Paul McCartney peak for you then?
Yeah, I mean, I think that definitely Paul's solo work and with the Wings is I would say it's my most listened to music of all time. I mean, I still probably listen to Ram, once a month, but there was a time when that's my everyday. But especially, Band on the Run, that song is probably my favorite song of all time. And with the Beatles, I'm a big Let It Be guy. I mean, I could get a little choked up.
Yeah.
Listen to that bad boy.
That's like, I just recently saw the movie again. The movie Let It Be.
Yeah.
Man, this is One After 909. This Dig a Pony. Those are great songs.
Yeah.
And I don't know why people give Let It Be such like a bleh, it's okay, But I was like, there's some good stuff on that
Great
record.
melodies. I mean, catchy melodies. Really, like, I'm a real big melody guy as far as like vocally and everything. So Paul's.
How do you
melodies.
get such big sounds? You have big music, and I think my thing is so contained of what I'm trying to do. But when I listen to your stuff, it's like, how do you think that way to get that sound?
Yeah, there's like an atmosphere to it.
Yeah, it's such a and then. Yeah, how do you do that?
Yeah, it's. I mean, there's. I kind of collected a library of sounds that I really like and that are good like filler sounds that like that create that atmosphere. And as a musician, like I said, I've always written and recorded with my family. So my older brother, had a kid, and he's a journalist in Scranton, and he's super busy. So when we were working on our folk project, it just got harder and harder to practice. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to try doing something on my own. And I only have ever played the piano, and not even very well. So I just got a MIDI keyboard, and I started messing around with some sounds, and I just started kind of creating these atmospheres. And then I would create an atmosphere for like 3 minutes or 6 minutes, and then I would just loop those atmospheres while I'm driving to work. I do about 100% of my songwriting while driving to work. I live in Noxen, obviously, and it's about 45 minutes from here, so I get a lot of me time with these atmospheres, and just kind of like humming different melodies. And not unlike, because I think, like I said, I think your songwriting, your storytelling ability is great. And I think it's even, it's cool that you're like, I am telling a separate story, something that I haven't even lived, but I'm going to speak on it. Where me, I'm like, this specific thing is happening to me now, and if I sing, everyone's like, is that? Like, I'm sorry, like, they're like, like, people like approach you, and you're like, oh, like, but it's like, I'm essentially like reading a diary. But so that it's just kind of like taking those experiences and writing. And it's funny because I think I've taken some folk elements from writing folk with my brother so much and added it into like a pop indie genre, which I think is kind of an interesting blend as well. But as far as the sound goes, it's just garage band.
Okay. No.
I'm a big garage band enthusiast. I think the tools that are available now for free for musicians are really cool.
I remember seeing GarageBand for the first time with a buddy of mine when I was a kid, and I was like, this is interesting, but he didn't know how to play an instrument.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I thought you had to, and I didn't mean that in like a dick kind of way. I was just like, I thought you had to know how to play an instrument to be a musician, not know how to work that kind of thing. So
yeah, I almost would consider myself a technician before a musician, even, which is I could write melodies and lyrics, but as far as the recording of the music, I consider myself a technician. I recorded it at my house in Noxen.
Oh, well, like, no, the way technology and stuff is now, like, there's talent in people who do that kind of thing. Like, I could never do what you do, so that takes talent. That's your musical talent. So just because I play guitar doesn't mean what you do is any less important.
I think there's a real charm to the, some of your songs are really raw, but then there's all the really nicely produced ones too. So there's like a really good blend, and I crave the rawness, and it's interesting how different musicians look at each other's music.
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of local albums. It's probably 80%, 90% of what I listen to anymore, and it's interesting to see how some stuff will, most of it sounds great. Some of it sounds a little overproduced, and some of it's kind of underproduced. Where maybe people don't have the budget, so they're kind of recording on a phone kind of thing, and it's like, it doesn't represent what I've seen you do live. And then other stuff, it's like I want to see maybe something that's not as polished.
Right.
Like if you're doing a dirty rock and roll album, I don't want to hear something that sounds like it was recorded nice in a studio.
Right.
I want to hear something that maybe has a little bit of a grit to it, but I still want it to be clear. I still want to hear it. Obviously, if you're paying for it, you're paying a lot of money to be in a recording studio. You want it to sound good, but you also don't want it to sound like so polished that it doesn't sound. It doesn't give it that grit or that realness that you want.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the other side of the coin for me, though, with like Old Charades and stuff, where that's a rock band, and like we wanted, we kind of had an idea of where that band was going to start, and I feel like we definitely grew up in public as far as finding our foothold in a sound with that band, me, Tom, and Jerry. We were just musically confused there for about a year and a half, 2 years. Because we were just, let's try and do this. Let's try and do that now. And I think what we're doing now is exactly what we should have been doing from day one, is that we're just a Americana rock kind of thing. We kind of cut the BS of what we're going to try and listen to, and like, because we play a lot in Philly, and it's very easy to fall into that hole of trying to sound like the Philly sound.
Right.
It's
absolutely.
That is like, I'm not saying it's bad, but it's like, I mean, that horse has been beat. That
sure.
Philly sound.
Yeah.
But and then Jerry and I were just kind of like, man, it's like you don't hear people making music like Bruce Springsteen was ticked off, and it's like, well, yeah, that's called the Gaslight Anthem. I was like, yeah, but the Gaslight Anthem don't sound like that anymore. They sound like what they're doing now, and it's like, Jason Isbell plays the guitar. He's got a heavy backbeat. Like, let's just make music like that, and then that's where we're at now. So it's like, it's just like that. So the other half of my heart is in Old Charades doing that, though. But
yeah, it's interesting listening to Old Charades too, after like just listening to a lot of your music as American Buffalo Ghost. And I haven't had the opportunity to hear Old Charades prior to American Buffalo Ghost, but would you say that you were approaching it differently as a songwriter? I mean, because I did definitely feel some of your lyrically,
yes,
just some of your pacing is just like felt very akin, like it was part of the same universe.
It kind of go to what you said about how this happened to me, and that is my diary, that band. It's like I'm singing about something that absolutely happened to me, like a girl made me feel that way, and now I'm gonna go drink myself into into a coma. It's like that really is I get a lot off my chest in that band in a way that I think is, I don't want to say therapeutic, but it's just like, I love doing both bands, and it's like, I know more of what my soul is doing in American Buffalo Ghost, and I know that music, and it's a very disciplined music, and it's very what it is. That in Old Charades is just give me a Telecaster with a stomp box, and I'm going to yell into a microphone because I need to do it. I need to do it. And that's because that's me going back to the White Stripes and going back to like all the rock bands I listened to, like the Strokes and like the first Arctic Monkeys album. I remember when that came out, no one had a copy of that. I must have been like the only kid in like 2 counties that had it, and I couldn't find anybody that listened to this band. That's just how I was. I was an only child, so I'm kind of on an island already. So it was like that, just aggression of just like that sound. Like I grew up with that, and that was the main vision I had of distorted guitar with other guys making loud noise. Yeah. But at the end of the day, on the way home, I would listen to Neil Young and Bob Dylan because I was like, that's what I need. That is what I need to hear to relax, kind of thing.
I think back on your point about this is what I hear live as opposed to what you hear on the record or what have you. That was definitely a big concern of mine with this new project, because I've only ever played with people, and I had a fear, and this is not knocking anybody who does this, but that I would be like, all right, it's time for the show. I like pull out my phone, plug it into an aux cord, and just like stand there and be like super awkward, because I'm already awkward as it is. So I didn't want to just be like up there by myself, because I'm like, so I started, and this is kind of a unique aspect to being a filmmaker and storyteller in that way, is I created wanted to create like a live experience where you go and you don't have to actually look at me. You can like watch the visuals behind, and that's kind of accentuating the story. But then in the process of creating those, I ended up getting a full band. So now it's kind of like a double. We have the full band experience as well as we have this kind of cool live backing. So the show is always going to be different than what you're going to be hearing on the record too.
Nice, and I like that. I like that you do that, because it reminds me of like what Andy Warhol did at the factory with the Velvet Underground, where he would have the screen tests projected. He'd have like Edie Sedgwick, like the size of a wall over Lou Reed's face, or the whole band and stuff like that. Yeah. And I kind of got that vibe. I mean, like I know you do your own things that you put up there, but I really did feel that. I was just like, it's like, oh man, I didn't see that. I mean, I know there's like a lot of psychedelic bands like out in like LA and stuff, like they do that, or like that was a cool thing to do. Right. But I was like, oh man, you don't see a lot of people doing that around here. And I was like, that's really, really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, it is a lot of work. So it's like, even now we're like switching up our set list, like before the show next week. I'm like, oh, okay. No problem. I spent like 600 hours on the first 7 songs video.
Yeah,
Let's
sure.
see what we can pull together. But no. But that's just kind of. I did at first had a fear of just being up there by myself. I thought I won't be by myself. I have video behind me. But now that I have a full band experience, it's kind of just a little bonus.
Yeah, no, that's how I feel. This started off as just me doing acoustic guitar, playing actual folk songs, and I just was very fortunate enough that I had friends that are, I think, much more talented than I am, and I said, would you guys back me up? And they said absolutely. Oh, yeah. And now it turned into like the acoustic thing, but just by myself. I absolutely love doing it, because I'm the driver. I'm doing it all, whatever. When I got the guys behind me, it's like a totally different animal, and it's like we could really make the sounds of the mountains come alive when we hit like certain songs. It's like, this is huge. And I love that. So I understand 100% where you're coming from, because it's just like, oh Jesus,
like it's just me.
Yeah.
Was that always the plan for both of you guys, to take what you're doing solo and then turn it into a full band, or it just kind of happened that way?
I'm gonna say it just happened.
Yeah.
I really didn't have any. I didn't think I was even going to end up doing this longer than 6 months. I just wanted to make a folk album just so I could say I finally did one. And then I got offered a show. Actually, it was like the Electric City Music Fest. Joe Caviston reached out to me, and this was 2017. Yeah, it was like I just put out that EP, that first EP, and he just said, I want you to play The Bog at midnight after 17 other bands, which are already huge local bands, University Drive, Permanence, S. Dakota, like the heavy hitters. And then I was like, you're going to have all these guys play, and everybody knows who they are, and then you're going to have me go up there.
While everyone's all revved up.
Everyone's jacked out of their mind at 1 a.m. on alcohol, and you want me up there with a little rinky-dink acoustic guitar. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, and then it just turned into, I just kept having people ask me, do you want to play? Do you want to play? And then I just kept writing these songs, and then here I am.
Yeah, and for me, I was in the process of recording my first the EP, and I just had an idea for one song for my brother to play a quick solo, and he and I are like I learned a lot about songwriting in my early days from him. Like I said, he's a great songwriter. He came in and sat down and listened to it the first time, and the first thing he played is what's on the album. It was just so perfect and so just it fit, and it just like it felt right and felt good, that I was like, all right, well, here's the next one if you want to hear that anyway. And like, it just ended up, he just started practicing with me and just being an older brother. But then when it came time for our first show, he was there beside me. And then I also have a younger brother. He's 16. His name is Dave, and I didn't even know that he had started playing the bass, and he's like really fucking good. And like it came out. I think I was like, oh, you should come to church and see him play in the church band. I came, and he was like up there like no problem. And I asked him to play, and he honestly is the best amongst us. Like I'll mess up, and he's fine. Like he has not made a mistake in a practice or a show since we started. And then when we were gearing up to play at the Kirby Center for the House Family Benefit, we realized, looking at the lineup, it was like an impressive lineup of guys who put on great, exciting shows. And I'm not saying our shows aren't exciting, but it's more like a dreamscape where it's not like no one's going to be like jumping up and down. So again, out of just fear of my own awkwardness, my sister was in the room. I was like, hey, do you want to like sing with me on this song? And as soon as she started singing, it just like was a perfect addition to the band. So now we ended up going from a solo act, and in a span of a few weeks, where there's 5 of us or 4 of us or 5.
Damn right.
Yeah, 4.
Damn right.
4.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wasn't sure what to expect because you'd sent me some of the music, and so I was listening to the music, and then when the benefit show came up at the Kirby Center, it was like, I wonder what this is going to be like, to see it in person. It is definitely like a mental thing. It's more of an experience sort of thing, and it worked well with the lighting in there is very interesting.
Yeah.
It's the lobby of the Kirby Center. It's really dark, with just really bright colors on
Right.
It's like every person
Gold
was a
walls.
different color,
Yeah.
red and blues and
Yeah.
purples and that kind of stuff. And it just worked really well. It kind of gave it that atmosphere. It was very different.
Yeah.
I like lineups like that where there's very different types of stuff playing together.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who's new in as far as making music and performing, I mean, obviously I'm familiar with the music scene through Tunefly and working on that,
Right.
But to actually be on the other side of it was definitely so I was intimidated for sure to get onto that lineup. As honored as I was also like, okay, well, what do we got to do to send requests is obviously the leader in their gang of what they're doing, and everyone there was just the top of their gang. Really, really, really good stuff.
Yeah, good performances the whole night on. Are we enjoying our $7 lagers?
Oh yeah,
You better believe it.
It's got some of that Sunshine State kind of taste to it.
One of the things I wanted to talk about is folk on Americana music in general. Obviously, I'm not. I've listened to it locally. I'm not like a guy who listens to it on a regular basis. I kind of grew up more of like a metalhead and punk music and stuff like that. So, there was obviously a resurgence of that type of style in the 60s was a big thing. You had the 40s with Woody Guthrie and stuff like that, and then you had the 60s for a little bit. And I've noticed anyway, and maybe it's just because it's been more on my radar now, maybe in the last like 10, 15 years, you started to see more of that type of style become popularized. You see it kind of written about by like the music critics and the tastemakers and stuff like that are paying more attention to that style right now. There's more of that stuff coming up. Is there kind of a resurgence of that maybe in the last decade or so, maybe a little longer?
Personally, I wouldn't know. I've always liked this kind of music, so to me it was always current, and I always played it at home by myself. So it could have been. I wouldn't know. I was doing it. But I would say, though, you could kind of trace it back to, and this is going to sound kind of goofy sounding, but you can pinpoint it. Remember that movie, the Coen Brothers movie, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
That soundtrack.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Multi-platinum.
Oh yeah, that was huge.
That
when came
I
out.
would
Yeah.
say that was maybe the spark there, because then it started opening the door a lot more to like folk singers like Gillian Welch, who is
Incredible.
the queen.
Incredible.
Oh my God, her and Dave, like,
Uh,
and then you get. Did you ever hear the Milk Carton Kids?
Yeah. Where did I hear Gillian Welch? I think I heard on a episode of Gossip Girl or something like that, and I was like, what? Or Justified. It was at the end of a Justified episode, and I looked it up, and I I was like,
It's probably off of the.
I haven't stopped listening to it. It's
Oh man.
heart-wrenching in the best ways possible.
Yeah. But yeah, I would think also the other kind of thing that made it popular would be acts like the Avett Brothers and Mumford and Son back when they were doing that thing now. But like
Right.
those bands don't sound anything like that anymore.
I think
Right.
What's interesting is I think you are as far as locally, you know, I remember listening to your first EP and I was like, whoa, this is absolutely different for this area, and being really excited by it, because I do think that there is a receptiveness to that style of music, but it's not necessarily. You know, there's not a lot of you're not amongst. There could never be a folk Americana night full of full bands who are performing that as far as local bands go here.
Well, they're kind. Well, yes and
Even
no.
though I think there actually was recently a folk Americana night. Wasn't there at Karl Hall?
Yeah, I just did that. Yeah, I host those. Yeah, I host those things called folk nights, and and I try and get. You got to go digging around, but there are guys out there, and I don't really think. I think I'm the new kid on the block to that kind of thing still, because you had like Coal Town Rounders and obviously Cabinet.
Right. That's kind of
Yeah.
where I think like
Yeah.
locally I noticed it kind of coming up, and granted
Yeah.
you could kind of even those guys like they kind of started out as like, oh, we're bluegrass, and then it was like, oh no, we're not blue, you know, like you talk to them, you know, 10 years later, and they're like, yeah, no, we want to get away from that term or that, you know, genre, you know, stuck on you. You know, you want to move away from that type of and not be pigeonholed to one type of music or another. But yeah, like Cabinet, Cold Town Rounders,
Dishonest Fiddlers.
Dishonest
yeah.
Fiddlers. Yeah, there's a lot of, you know, that type of stuff that you could say is maybe folk or Americana, and they could play with bands that maybe say they are that style.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting that you know, had a bit of a thing for a while, especially with the Susquehanna Breakdown at the Pavilion and stuff like that. Had a little bit of a following here for a while.
Yeah, and that's absolutely true with what you're saying. Of they start off in that bluegrass community and then they branched out and stuff like that. And I like bluegrass. I could play bluegrass, but I wouldn't call playing bluegrass. It's
Yeah.
But I really stick to my guns of like I'm very much rooted in that. The Dave Van Ronk was a folk singer. He was a guy who mentored Bob Dylan.
Yes.
So like Dave Van Ronk, his kind of thing, early Neil Young, Gillian Welch, and then like the band, like Levon Helm, like they are rooted in that thing. They almost practically invented that Americana sound. Like there wouldn't be a Wilco, there wouldn't be bands like that, you know, if there wasn't the band.
Right.
And I think that is where I set up my camp. But because of the area, yeah, maybe there aren't a whole lot of guys in the area doing exactly it is what I'm doing, but there's a lot of guys in the, you know, not too far down the stream of like, yeah, we do bluegrass and I do maybe a little bit of blues, and then, you know, I'm more of a singer-songwriter, but it's primarily acoustic kind of thing. So folk is a very, very broad, heavy blanket, but when you get underneath it and you start nitpicking, you're like, no, this is a community kind of a thing. So
well, there's so many of those types of bands that I could see. You know, a big part of that scene is covering very old songs, folk songs that maybe have been passed down or things like that, and I could see those types of bands all playing the same song but in completely different ways.
Oh yeah,
you know, like maybe they have the same influences, even the same influences that you're talking about that they grew up listening to, but they went very different paths with it, and they kind of changed it or melded it to their own style and that kind of thing.
I even think that you know, just through, you know, just obviously following you on social media. You're posting videos of you playing the guitar, and I think you're like a standout guitar player in a folk genre, but your voice is so strong that it ends up pushing that folk into Americana almost by default, just because the way you like you take a song and a folk song, and you could, I think it's easy to label you as Americana just to the strength of your voice.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I never thought I was any kind of singer at all. I never, and the only reason to get to the level that you think I'm at because of that is just because I spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours playing the same song over and over and over again, and it's just like pushing it, and then also just for the very cheat way of finding a song and putting it in a key that I'm comfortable in. So once I find that key, it's like, oh, I could take that song and then take it to the moon and back. But you put it in a different key, I don't want to play this song. Like, you know. So yeah, the influences are it's all spread out though. But yeah.
Is there maybe a Northeast spin to this type of stuff? Because I think the general public, if they were to think about country or folk or stuff, they think the South. They think that type of thing. Is there a way that maybe people in the Northeast do it differently, or put a different spin on it? Do you think?
Southern charm and make it sad and.
I think
there you have
more
it.
sad than it already is.
Sadder and
just
heavier and.
Oh man, absolutely.
Slow it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Take everything that's nice.
Depressing to suicidal, maybe.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I think that was going to happen. Yes, to your question, yes. That there is an NEPA spin on it, and I think that was going to happen regardless because there's something about our area. There's something in the water. You take a band like, I hate to keep bringing up, like, say, the Menzingers. You could tell they came from Northeast Pennsylvania. You could take a band doing any kind of little thing around here, like, they got that Northeast PA kind of slight angle on it, and it's so me being in the music community as long as I have and doing different rock bands and punk bands and everything, though, it was inevitable that that's going to come out on this too. But I just think really it's just also kind of just stems from my imagination of like, no, I want to play this song with I want this to sound like a night down in the bayou, and I'm just going to finger pick it and play it like that. And or I want this song to sound like I'm out in West Virginia somewhere, and I'm going to just sit there and play it, and I got nothing but time and air in front of me kind of a thing. So, but I think at the end of the day, it's, I'm from here. It's going to sound like that regardless. And I think that goes, which is so interesting to what you do, because you have that, but there ain't nobody doing what you're doing around here. I mean, there's a lot of different kind of music, and there's a lot of, everybody's doing something different and everything, but you just have a slightly different curve to it. And that's what I think makes you and, like, Rosary Guild so interesting to watch. It's just like, oh, shit. Like, you didn't invent what you're doing. It's been done. Right. And, it's been done before by how many other people, but it's just, oh, man, it's a take on it. That's the NEPA take on that, and that's what makes it so cool.
Yeah, and obviously I named it after the weirdest town in Pennsylvania, village in Pennsylvania.
Absolutely.
And they've tried to. I mean, people from Noxen, I don't think they would like it.
Right.
Like, my goal is to play at the Rattlesnake Roundup, but if I were to ever play at that, I think that everyone would be like, what?
I gotta play that.
Like, Noxen is playing, and I'd be like, oh, Noxen is named after Noxen, and then I'd be out there like, just playing on the laptop, and like the synth would start playing.
I gotta play there. I love whatever that Rattlesnake Roundup.
I got an incredible. They play music the whole time.
Oh, I can see the headline now. Noxen gets lynched in Noxen.
I know. I would have. I'll ride up on our dirt bikes and get off and just play our pop music, our sad pop music, and everyone would be so mad. But I also think a Noxen Music Festival would be like a cool, little thing for our area, because Noxen's it's a cool spot. You ever been?
Honestly, no. I was just gonna ask, where is it?
It's up near Tunkhannock, past Harvey's Lake, in between Harvey's Lake. I know you're scrambling.
Oh, so
boys,
nowhere.
So,
So nowhere. Yeah.
It's a lawless town.
Way out there.
Yeah, it's a good spot though.
Do
really
we get
inspiring.
do you get cell phone reception up there?
I do not. No.
No.
Not a lick. But
Okay.
but Wi-Fi in the house, you know. And,
Yeah.
And 40 feet around it. So. But no, Noxen's a great little spot. I moved out there a couple of years ago from Wilkes-Barre. It's not like I'm born and bred there. And our next album is kind of a concept album where we take all the mythology that people, what people think about Noxen, and like over dramatize it. Because I am trying to get away from my own personal music and kind of world building a little bit.
What are you gonna do, like the mystery of like pierogi night or something out there?
Well, Noxen's known obviously for rattlesnakes, and when we first moved there, my neighbor was like, "Do you have a gun?" And I was like, "Look at me. Do you think I have a gun?" And he's like, "You need to get a gun because there's a gang called the Natives, and they'll kill you." And none of that wound up being true, but I went to Cabela's like an idiot, and I was like, "What kind of gun would you suggest for for a guy like me?" And they're like, "Well, here's a gun we usually sell to 12-year-olds to learn target practice." And so I have this 22 caliber rifle, that I'm ready to defend my home no matter what with, and got chickens and a pig, and living life out there, loving it. Yeah, I got a dirt bike to try to fit in. I don't fit in, but I think that I think playing at the Rattlesnake Roundup would be like,
that's pinnacle. That's
my
it.
bucket list complete. I could die.
Goals.
Right? So because what you guys are doing are so different, you created the folk nights and you've done it at different venues and stuff like that. Was that out of necessity, or was that something you actually just wanted to do in general?
To shop it around, you mean?
Yeah, to get, because I mean, you like you said, people have been asking you about doing shows, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
Are there is there, for some bands around here, it seems like it's very easy to get gigs, and other ones it's like they're always struggling, they're always complaining, like, oh man, how do I get booked around here? That kind of thing.
Well, yeah.
So was it easy for you, or was it more difficult to considering what you do?
Oh, it's hard. I mean, there ain't a whole lot of it's still kind of hard. I mean, there ain't there. I got the market cornered as far as like playing old time mountain music and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and I mean like of doing this kind of thing. It's hard, and it definitely took a lot of convincing and showing people what's going on, because like I got asked to play with like Estacota and Permanence, and then a lot. I've been playing with those guys for years, and we're all buddies, and they were just like, "Hey, open the show," and I'd be like, "You guys know what this is, right?"
Right.
And then they're like, "Yeah, no." They're like, it's like, and I was like, "Great." And they were like, "But it's got a great name, so it's got to be something." I was like, "Okay." So then. And the first couple times I did that, like I'd play these shows and I'd see a lot of the kids and people who come out to the scene and support, like they have that mindset, like they're there to see that kind of show. Yep. And then I get up there and I'm playing, Death Don't Have No Mercy in This Land. And I'm up there going, take me to the mountains, won't you please? And half of them are just, what the hell happened? What the hell happened to him? And then the other half of the people were like, oh, no, this is not at all. So it was kind of that 8 Mile moment where I was just like, screw these people, I'm going to show them, And the people who did hang around and listen to it actually liked it. And then it did turn into the thing where it was just like, oh, hey, like, can we see more of this? Can we do more of that? And it's difficult, to get some shows though, but also at the same time, there's people who, when I get asked, I'm very fortunate that I get asked to play the shows that I get played, they want to hear me play those songs. They want to see finger picking, old time kind of music and stuff like that though. But like there's other guys in the area doing that, and it's like I'm not the only person doing this or tapping into that kind of music, but I'm just fortunate that I get to do it though. But yeah, man, I fight for every mile, every show, because I'm just like, there's got to be every single show I play. At some point, I have an inner monologue going like, what the hell is wrong with you? Why are you doing this? Like, why are you playing this?
Right.
I remember I was at the Keys show when you had your full band for Ed's benefit,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just excited for the 23rd to hear you play. I don't think I've seen you play since the benefit, unfortunately, but there was an energy in the room, and your energy was sky high in a good way, and like you know, everyone was just jamming, and I just remember hearing someone behind me being like, "Is that Sean from Old Charades?" I was like, you know, I was just listening, and they were like, "Wow, I've never seen him like sing like this. This is incredible!" And like that, just like the way like your heart and soul was in it, it made the energy in the room was getting near your energy. It couldn't be matched.
Oh,
because
yeah.
It was your but
Yeah,
it was really,
that was
really an incredible experience.
Oh well, again, goddamn man, how much did he pay you to say that? No, that show, man, I don't know. I must have scored some points. I got some good karma to get that slot because I got to go on before Melded played, which was the show.
Right.
I mean, that was it. And then I looked at that lineup. I was like, that's got to be a mistake. Why are we playing before them? And that was our second full band show. We only ever played one other time with those guys. And I was like, fellas, we got to bring it. Like, we got to bring it. And like I said, I'm very fortunate that the guys I have behind me, like, they get it. They want to be there. And they want to play great. And that's why I was like,
Oh, you brought it.
yeah, we got to get it. And yeah, that was a hell of a show. I remember that too. That was I don't think I've ever seen that many people in the Keys in my life. And I've been playing there since I was 21. I'm 32, and I was like, this is a moment that Jen should have photographed or put a plaque up or something. It's like, this is the pinnacle.
Yeah, I think that's also, you know, obviously edit and, you know, that was an incredible event. But also, there's a cool shift in the music scene where I think that it's energized. And I remember back when we started Tunefly, we would just go to shows and we'd be like, wow, this band is incredible, but we'd be like the only people in the audience.
Right.
And I think that there's it's a shift and it's happening, but it's also largely due to the efforts of like your folk night, the NEPA Scene's Got Talent. But like before, I would say that, wow, NEPA's got a great music scene as far as bands go. The talent is here, but the audience isn't caught up with that talent. There's been a shift, I would say, in the past year with Stage West and a couple other venues that are opening that are putting real energy into the area, and Karl Hall, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
That you go to a Karl Hall show and there's people there, and it's really exciting as a musician and just as a, you know, community-minded person to see that happening. I think it's, you know, largely due to the effort of the bands that are here being like, all right, I like it here. I'm going to write songs about here. And we're going to try to get people to come to shows, and it's working. I think people are going to shows, and I don't know if you've experienced anything different than that, but I feel like there's been a resurgence of people going to shows and being excited about local music.
Yeah, I definitely I agree 100%. I remember being early 20s, early mid 20s, where we used to go to the Keys in the Vintage Theater when it was on Penn Avenue still.
Yep.
You went every weekend regardless of who was playing because you wanted to see it, you wanted to be there, you didn't want to hear about it from someone else, you wanted to make sure you saw it, and you supported your friends who were in the music scene. And then, yeah, it just, I don't know, man, the balloon deflated a little bit for a couple of years there, and everybody was riding out the storm, and I don't know what happened, but there definitely was a loss of enthusiasm. But, yeah, I would say in the last 2 years, though, you're starting to see just, hey, me and my girlfriend got nothing to do on a Friday night, let's just go out and see some music. And you're like, oh, okay. And then, like, I've had actual people come and see me on the regular do this because they're like, I just happened to walk in somewhere and I saw you sing this song and I wanted to hear it, and then that's why I'm here. So, yeah, it's starting to feel like it's coming back around. Hopefully we're not, you know, going to jinx it. You know?
Yeah, right.
You know,
right.
But no, you're 100% right. Exactly what you said about all the places and the musicians and stuff.
I feel like there's just a good energy going, and it's really exciting.
I've said it a couple of times on the show over the last almost 100 episodes now that it seems like it's really just trying to convince the general public that it's okay to try something new and to come out and see this type of stuff, because it feels like people don't want to take a risk. They don't want to, even for $5, which it was $5 20 years ago at the door. It's still $5 at the door, which tells you that inflation has not helped musicians locally or nationally whatsoever. But it's still that $5 at the door that like people are like, I don't know if I really want to give that $5 or whatever. But I think in the last couple of years, like especially when just in the 4 years that I've been doing NEPA Scene, we went from when we first started in that first year, we'd get comments here and there and be like, there is no scene. Screw you. What the hell are you talking about?
Internet guy.
Right.
Yeah. Basement internet guy. Yeah.
Right. to like I haven't seen that in years. I haven't seen that comment in a long time.
Well, I think also what you got to also keep in mind is that the kids, literally the kids, are now older. They're bringing out their friends. They're all 21.
Sure.
Like James Barrett. I've been playing music with James Barrett since the son of a bitch was, I think, still in high school.
Yeah.
And he's 21 now.
Yep.
And you play a show with him, and he brings half of Clark Summit with him.
Right.
And it's because he knows everyone. He's been doing it for so long.
Yep.
And I think that has a lot to do with it, where you're now starting to see that group of kids who came to see all the bands are like, I'm going to go do that. And I got 50 friends who are coming with me. And then that is, guys like, me, I'm old, I've been, doing it now. And just like, it's not another Friday night in the same old bar and you're looking up to see the same 5 people. And now you pick your head up and there's like 55 people, 60 people. And you're like, oh, well, where the hell were you? So you came along at the right time, man. Like,
Right?
The soup is hot. We got 2 for Tuesdays. Happy hour all day. You showed up right then.
Keeping the seat warm, and I got.
And I was there when it was appetizers only.
For sure, there was definitely like, if John was here, he'd tell you, when he was working for that other guys that aren't even around anymore. There was like Breaking Ben was still playing bars around here and stuff like that. You'd pack, every bar in the area was just packed to the brim with people who were just there for whatever music was playing. They weren't there for even a lot of times for a specific band. They were just there to see live music. And then for a while there was just this gap where it was really hard to get people to come out to see any live music at all. But I think we're finally getting past that, where people are wanting to see live music again and people are coming out. Maybe it's just a generational thing, because those people who say that there's no scene anymore, they're just older now. They're parents. They have kids to take care of. They have full-time jobs. They can't go out on a Friday and Saturday night and, have a bunch of beers till 2 or 3 a.m. Like they can't do that kind of stuff anymore. So that other generation has to come in and take their place. And, they're stuck behind their phones and their computers and stuff all day. Yeah. So it's convincing those people to say, hey, you know what, there's something live here in front of you. You need to come out and experience it.
Yeah, I think people were just confused about the internet and smartphones for a minute. But I think they're coming around and they want those real-life experiences. I think they're like, all right, there's more to life than this. And the talent is here. And,
right.
Oh, yeah.
Sean's got got some experience under his sleeve, and he's primed and ready to rip. And now that the kids are all ready to experience it.
Yeah. I wait till the machine is super well oiled, and then I come out and hit them with Woody Guthrie because
that's what they've been waiting for.
That's what they've been waiting for, man.
They just don't know it.
It's just like, oh man, I'm so glad everybody's here. Here's a Lead Belly song. Okay. Yeah, but you know what, man? That's my sword. I'm gonna fall on it happily. I don't care, man. It's, if one person hears it and be like, "Oh, what is that?" I'm like, "Oh, that's That's a Blind Willie McTell song. Who's that? And go. You have the internet. Go look
Right.
it up, man. And then that, and whoever it is looks it up, and it works for them. Then I did my job.
I respect that, and people I think have different ideas of what the music scene is, whether they think it's the band's playing or that people are showing up or a little bit of both, because I think as long as people are playing, even if it's to completely empty rooms, that's still a scene. It's still there. They're still creating. There's still that creative energy, and those bands are feeding off each other and helping each other and growing something. So even if you are playing to small rooms and empty rooms, it doesn't matter. It's still that it exists. It's still there. People just need to catch on to it. But I think now we're at the point where you can see, like, especially that weekend that you're talking about, the Ed benefit was just incredible. Like that whole weekend, I was there every day of it, and each day was a whole new experience, and it was just like, I'm completely not a religious guy, but it was like spiritual by the end of it.
Yeah,
It was like,
for
oh
sure.
my God, there's something in the room.
I mean,
here,
to get that many bands together to do something like that, and to have just, oh my God.
Yeah, and
It
they're
was
all firing on all cylinders,
Yeah.
and lifting each other up instead of putting each other down. Because you see a lot of that too. There's definitely years where it's like everybody's competitive and cutthroat, and I'm better than that guy and stuff. And I don't see that much at all anymore for the most part.
There's a camaraderie, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very much guilty of that, of being the shit talker when I was younger. I definitely did my fair share of it, and I was young and I had to get put in my place, and I did. And,
Yeah.
you got, that's. You live and you learn.
Yeah.
But no, definitely it's like there's definitely a sense of, no, support it.
Right.
Doesn't matter. I always have that, doesn't matter if you like it. It's your friend. Support your friends.
Sure.
So it's that kind of mindset.
And you'll find something that I could say, well, I'm a metal guy, so I only listen to metal, but you go out to something like that, and oh no, you know what? This is really good. This is giving me that experience that I want from a live show.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
you don't have to be this guy or that guy. You can listen to a little bit of everything.
Oh
So
yeah.
I encourage people who are watching this, who are listening to this, to go out and check out something like this. You guys are playing at Karl Hall on Saturday, March 23rd.
Mm-hmm.
When does it start?
I think it starts at 7?
Doors are usually at 7.
Doors are 7.
He runs a pretty tight ship down there. AJ does.
Yeah, so I'm on first, so
Yep.
get there by 7.
Yeah, get there by 7, definitely.
Putting together something special?
Yeah, that show is. I kind of just I have a very, very good relationship with AJ. I've known him some years now, and but he didn't just give me the keys to the kingdom because we know each other. I mean, he knows how many people,
Right.
But it's one of those things. He takes a chance, and he believes in talent, and not saying like, oh, whatever, but he believes in honesty. That's a better way to say. He believes in honesty.
Yep.
And very, very fortunate that him and I, he's like, dude, you want to do one of your folk nights there? Like, let's do it. And then I said, I'm kind of having a lot of fun playing with the guys behind me and everything. And he was just like, well, take a date. Like, can you who do you think you want to do it with? And I don't know what compelled me to just kind of reach out and to reach out to you and then Rosary Guild. I was like, God damn, like, I don't know when you're gonna see that kind of lineup again. And it's very, in my mind, it's 3 very different acts.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think growing up, like going down to Cafe Metro, that was kind of like no, you don't want to do a genre mixing show.
Yeah.
It just didn't
My
work.
first show at Me Without You at Cafe Metro.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
God damn, that's
a
that
good
was-
one.
Mother Mime, I think, was also there.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Mother Mime, the drummer for Mother Mime, was in my band for a little while after that. Chris, who was the best.
So, but yeah, this kind of show, I was just like, I don't know. It just kind of worked. I just kind of stewed on it for a hot second, him and I, we get in touch every once in a while. We just swap ideas. We'll talk to each other about stuff, and we do. We're just like, hey,
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
And I was just like, you know what, man, like, let's see if I can roll the dice and you're available, and we were very fortunate that I was able to get it, and as soon as I told AJ about the show, he was just like, oh fuck yeah, it's on. He's like that's on. And I put it up on Instagram and Facebook that I made the event page and all that stuff. And the funny enough, my one very good friend Dom Nolan, he messaged me immediately. He was just like, dude, fucking A. He's like, that is a show I need to take work off for. Little did he know, I was like, not only do you have to take work off for it, I'm going to need you to play the goddamn drums. Because my regular drummer, Steve Warner, has another gig that night, and he can't make it. And he was just like, are you kidding me? I was like, no. So don't worry about paying the cover or getting work off. Your ass has got to be behind the kit. So...
I think there's going to be a good energy in that show, and that it's going to be the first of many between the. I think
hope so.
I think we're so different, but at the same time, we're all storytellers. That it's like you're going to go there and it's going to make sense, and the people are going to have such an experience that next thing you know, it'll be the same lineup, Stage West.
I
hope so.
I really hope so. I really do, and I'm so like. I feel like. I personally feel like I need to really bring it, because I mean, playing with you guys are already played together. You know the dynamics of those two, your band and Rosary Guild playing together, and Rosary Guild is like a giant entity right now in the music scene. Like I see people wearing their T-shirts and talking about them and stuff, and they're phenomenal. And I'm just like, shit. Like I gotta really get my act together here for this kind of thing. I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done this, because like I'm like, fuck,
No way. Man.
But I'm
so excited to play with you.
I'm very excited. I'm very excited to see this show happen, and I'm very, very, very grateful that AJ and all the guys down at Karl Hall are letting us do this, and then are taking the chance on bands and putting together shows like this, because like I said though, like some people see this kind of lineup and they're like, that makes absolutely no sense. Why am I going to go spend the money to see this band or that band, and I have no interest in that other band, kind of a thing. But to hark back to what you said, though, man, you also said there's a curiosity at the moment in the NEPA scene of, no, I want to see what that is. I want to check this out. And it's like, well, these guys they must know something if they're all doing this.
Right.
So it's got to be kind of in that aspect, though. So, hell yeah, man. I mean, I'm very excited for this show next week.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an experience. We're going to be doing our visual show as well, and I think it's just going to be a great time, and I'm really excited to just be to attend it. I want to get through the performing part and just like see.
I'm kind of the same way. I kind of just want to see it. Like I just want to see this show, and I don't know why, man. I just feel like there's a real buzz about it, of just okay, like this is something that people are paying attention to, and then the fact that, like I said, as soon as I posted about this show, I had people immediately going like, yo, that's something.
Yeah.
And, there's a million great shows in the area. Every week there's a show that should make someone go, oh, yo, I just happen to be playing that one this week,
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, it's guns a-blazing, got to be on the A game. And, I promise I will try my best to deliver the expectations that are met, that I know he and Rosary Guild will absolutely bring and exceed. So,
I was like starstruck just coming to talk to Sean.
Oh, shut up! Seriously, dude. Seriously, all right. How much did you pay him to say this bullshit about me?
If you know anything about NEPA Scene, nothing. Nobody gets paid.
No.
What is this, by the way? I've been sitting here.
So this is the SBC Bach.
Very good.
Very good.
Tip of the hat to those guys.
They always deliver. Beer Boys often gives
good.
us SBC, obviously because they're the local guys. But I just love everything that they do.
This is good. This is really
they
good.
always put out great stuff. So kudos to them.
Mhm.
But like you said too, when not to go back to the Ed benefit again, but that's the last time I saw Rosary Guild, and they kind of ended. I think it was Saturday night with like just that everybody's kind of like delirious at that point.
They went on
It's so late at night.
They went on at 1:40 in the morning.
Yeah,
I remember because
everybody's just like we've all had quite a few beers, and we're all kind of just. But it wasn't one of those like I got to get out of here. It was like, oh man, I had to stay for this, like. And they even ended with I think it was Smashing Pumpkins, and which you think, that's so cliche or whatever, but their spin on it just made it so great. Like it was such a cool way to end the night, So I think this show is going to be really awesome.
Yeah, I mean. The challenge of playing down at Karl Hall is that AJ likes to throw down that gauntlet of you got to play original music,
right?
And which screws me really hard because like a lot of my set is made up of covers and folk songs that I practice on. I actually spend more time on perfecting the covers than I do the originals. Sometimes
because there's a bit of a reverence there.
Yes, I treat that properly. A song is I write a song. It's it's whatever it could whatever
Yeah.
But he did tell me, he's like, you could do your covers, they got to be public domain, and you got to make sure you know what water you're getting into.
Yeah.
So when I told the guys that, I was like, yo, don't worry, I got a list. I know songs that are cool. We can do this. So we're gonna do maybe one or two, but we're gonna stick to the originals though. But man, I am so excited to play a song that is like a straight up traditional. A song that I know is it's like 200 years old. It's like one of the oldest songs in the English language, and what we're gonna do to it is just like I'm so excited for it, and it's like we're gonna come out swinging with it, and I just hope we carry the momentum over because like I said, man, the bar is high, and I do not want to be the one to let everybody down. So.
Could Noxen even do covers? Because you guys are such a different sort of thing.
Like in our lineup, I mean, we were planning on doing a Killers cover, so I don't know if that's
interesting.
And now I'm gonna.
Hey, just letting you know, man. Just don't kill the messenger. Letting you know.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, we do a couple covers. I try to track them and my keyboard and what have you, but mostly originals. And we're going to be, just to lead into what you're up to, we're bringing some folk elements to it, and we're going to try to, strip it down a little bit and provide a different type of show experience. So it should be a fun night.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some new stuff, some really old stuff, and
hey, man, let's have some fun. I'm really excited for it. I don't know. I'm just pumped for the show. Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to touch on before you want to close this out with another song?
Absolutely. I'll close another song. Yo, plug your film stuff, man. You're a genius.
Get out of here.
This guy over here, he does music videos. Brendan Brisk, who one of my best friends in the world, who I happen to think is one of the best musicians in the area.
He's so underrated. His stuff is so good.
Oh man, he is like he's my ace in the hole. Like when I have a guy drop out in my band, and I just call him up, and I'm just like, he's like, oh, it's that call. Actually, we work together. I don't even have to call him. I just go to his office, and he's like, oh, it's this, and he just goes guitar or bass, and I'm like, it's the guitar or it's the bass. He's just like, let me know what you want to play, and it's like that's it. So he's one of the best musicians in the area. But the music video he has directed by this guy, and it's amazing. And you also did the Rosary Guild music video, which I thought was like shocking. I was like, this is a local guy, brilliant. And then the promo video you put together for this show.
Yes, very cool. Which you could see if you scroll down on our Facebook page. It's we posted it earlier today.
I was proper drunk when I saw that, and I was like, you gotta be shitting me. I was like, you gotta be shitting me, man. Look at this thing.
Yeah, just as being a filmmaker first, and I work here at Co-Creative as a creative director in the production department, so it's, that's my first passion. So that's a bonus if you book me for any shows. I'll make a I'll make a cool
Wink, wink.
video and add a VHS effect to it to make it seem old timey.
He'll also compliment you excessively.
I'm speaking from right here. Speaking from right here.
Yeah, and that.
No.
Well, what I like about you guys too, I mentioned that kind of the description of the show too, is that you guys go out and support original music too. There isn't a time that I go out to see music where I don't see you out or you out at some local show, and that's so important too. Not to just create music, but to support everybody else who's creating music too. It's such an important part of the scene and lifting everybody up instead of putting people down, but especially just going out and being seen, being at the shows.
Hey man, it's what are you gonna do? Sit home, how many times can you sit home and watch Netflix on a Friday night?
Right.
That's just the most basic way to put it though. But no, go back to what I said. Even if you don't like the music, support your friends.
Yeah.
Yep.
Support your friends.
And there's value in that too. I mean, just from getting out. Jordan Ramirez, who's a local musician, he and I are collaborating with some stuff, and he's an incredible producer, and he's gonna be producing some of my new stuff. And
nice.
Will from Rosary Guild mixed my last album, and it's just collaborating and chit chatting with people from all walks of life in the music scene is extremely beneficial as a musician.
Yeah.
It just makes everybody better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
This summer, Sean and I are going to be collaborating on a Western-themed music video. I'm calling it right now, pointing my baseball bat at the fence, and
Sure. Yeah. No, yeah, we've been talking about it for a while. It's just, he's busy. He's making music now, and it's like I'm not gonna say put that on hold for me. I'd rather play a show than do a film shoot. So
Yeah.
All right.
True story.
Schedule it. Let's do it.
We'll do it.
All right, man. So
Cool.
let's. You got another song for us?
Absolutely, I'll play another one.
All right, that's good.
Oh yeah.
Thanks so much for tuning in. We will see you here next week for episode 100. So that should be an interesting show. We will let you know more about it as the week progresses. But thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you here next week.
This is that song I mentioned about 45 minutes ago, about the one that was influenced by Steve Martin and his band, and this song is called September.
And yes, her eyes were blue. The great remember, so I'm told. I saw her come just like I always do. Chased away my purple blues. Golden hair under trees of red. The wind was singing sweet and low. Her dress was waving and she could smile in the autumn sun setting glow. Can I stay till September ends? Just let me linger till the crops come in. Can I stay till September ends? Just let me linger till the crops come in. can't see the leaves all fall. There's only heaven is inside. Can I stay till September ends? Just let me linger till the crops come in. Can I stay till September ends? Just let me linger till the crops come in. Can I stay till September ends? Just let me linger till the crops come in. Can I stay till September ends? Just let me linger till the crops come